Hello. Welcome everyone to the vendor meta of 2026. This video is for those of you who, like me, enjoy being a Pokemon vendor. Though, based on what I'm seeing, you don't even need to be a Pokemon vendor for this. So sit back, relax. I'm going to tell you guys some of the weird stuff going on in this hobby right now. So for me, the meta right now, I guess I'll quickly define meta. Meta is the most effective tactics possible. It is what you likely should be attempting to do. Before all this stuff, finding like your streamer that you could offload all your stuff to was probably the meta. It was like it was in TikTok and freaking whatnot meta, you know. I don't know. Let's just whatnot and TikTok. TikTok. I'm just gonna put TT because I like twice, and this is close enough to TikTok. You guys understand what I meant. But essentially, you guys would buy your inventory at, I don't know, what percent do you guys like? Before, the percent was like 70 to 75%, let's just say. Maybe 80% on the high end. Something like this was probably the meta before last year. And then we got to a point where 80% has now become pretty bog standard, I'd say, and it's pretty good for you guys. Up to 85% even for some higher end stuff. And some people, like flipping cardboard, one of the goats of vending, will even give you up to 90%. This is probably where I have to sit, and this is where I personally am sitting right now for vending. 90% can be the highest percentage I reach, depending on what it is. 80% is for my standard stuff I pick up. 85 is for something I really want to get. Now, with all that being said, this is the old meta. I'd say pretty much all of this 80 to 85 makes sense, but now we're dealing with something else. I'm not sure if you guys have been vending too much. I'm not sure if you guys are aspiring vendors. I'm not sure if I'm not sure exactly what audience this is going to reach. But in my experience right now, not this. What is it then? Is it what's this guy? Yeah. Sorry. I don't use paint too much, but doing my best here. In my experience right now, it is by 80 or 85% of card ladder value. Now, what is card ladder? Well, let me go ahead and quickly get you guys up to speed. Card ladder is an app similar to Alt, which you guys might be aware of, or something similar to, like, I don't know, pricestarting.com. You guys might be aware of pricestarting.com. I'm not going to write out pricestarting.com. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you probably aren't experienced enough to be ready to be a vendor, and that's okay. This is just probably the pinnacle app for this, the best app. You pay like a $20 monthly fee or something like this, I believe, or you get it with a PSA membership. And it is a better version of Alt, more or less. Card Ladder also spits out a value, which is their CL value. And honestly, it's usually okay, but sometimes it will overvalue cards and sometimes it will undervalue cards. But the reason that this is all the meta right now, let me just clear up some stuff here. Hopefully you guys can remember everything. The reason why card ladder freaking value, let's put CLV, why the reason this is value is because of our new meta lord, the Repacker. Repackers, if you can find one, which I all have not found personally, will buy your stuff at about 90 to 95%. I have vendors who I know are working with repackers. I don't know how it works. I don't know how this works exactly. But this is why you're going to see on your Instagram feed crazy stuff like unlimited budget, unlimited money, let's just say. Unlimited money buying PSA, 7 to 10s, 85%. This is why you're going to see stuff like this. or, 80 to 85 is more realistic, I suppose. But if you are dealing with like the big dogs right now, the behemoths, they are able to actually offer all the way up to 85%. And they can do this because they are going to buy stuff at 80 to 85% of card ladder value. They're going to buy stuff here, put it here, and after the weekend, they will have made 10 or 5 to 10%. And this gets paid out pretty much on Monday. Let's say it gets paid on Monday. From my understanding, it gets paid out very fast. It gets paid out so fast that they have their money for the next show before, next week. Next. So, because you guys can't even see this. Here we go. Next show. But yeah. So because they get paid out so fast, they get easy 10%, and they can put as much money as humanly possible. Of course, the repacker meta is going to be like the most ludicrous thing ever, and you're going to see literal vendors leaving their tables to just try to buy from other vendors who don't know any better or don't know what's going on. And of course, the vendor's going to be excited because, oh my god, look at this guy. He's about to buy $10,000 worth of stuff from me? Oh, I must be really lucky. I'm going to have to take this. You're going to see this at your big card shows, especially Collecticons and like front rows and stuff like this. This is the kind of stuff you're going to end up seeing. Now, is that a problem? I don't know. This seems really unsustainable. Like, this fully relies on the repacker succeeding. So, if you guys believe in the long-term, for repackers, then by all means, then I guess it would definitely survive in your mind. As for me, I have absolutely no freaking idea what this is going to turn into. It is at this point gone absolutely crazy, the fact that you can just go every freaking weekend and make 5%, let's just say. It's just no point in holding on to inventory, almost, is what it feels like. Now, I personally haven't done this because I don't have a repacker that I can sell to. And I have my own personal collection. Like, I have freaking this little guy right here. My Marsh Shadow Machamp. I honestly didn't know what this little dude was called. I'm sorry. I only know Machamp. This was after my time for Pokemon, but I love this little alt art. This thing's really cool. And I'm currently trying to collect all the tag teams in Japanese. This guy got to add to my little collection here. Yeah. The stuff, I should say, though, for this repacker meta, there are some caveats. Specifically, you can't bring any PSA slab, literally. To participate in this meta, you need to have, they like to call comps, which, obviously, you need to have some recent sales on cards. That way, Card Ladder can create a Card Ladder value. And that way, they can pay 90 to whatever percent. I don't know what percent it is, honestly. This is pretty much how this all works. Ooh, what happened there? I don't even know what happened there. Okay. And so you need to make sure, if you're going to attempt to, use this method. It's not streamer meta. I don't know what this is doing here. Goodbye, streamer word. Bye-bye. Can't get rid of all these specs. Sorry. It's too hard. I'm not good at this. Wait, if you're going to participate in this, you need cards that have comps. Cards with comps. They need to be Pokemon or One Piece. And one person that I'm working with specifically that knows about these stuff is doing NBA. I don't know which company he works for. I also wouldn't divulge because he doesn't want me to know. He doesn't want other people to know. This is a competitive advantage for people. So if you can find yourself a repacker, you will have, obviously, a competitive advantage to be able to offload your stuff at such a good price. It's honestly kind of insane at this point. The more I think about them, it's just so crazy, man. And I just can't imagine it being sustainable. But yeah, they need pretty much, it has to be fall into this. I would stick here to be much safer. Once you have those people, you offload to them. Or you could play the game how I have to play it and buy it 80% most likely and just let them buy it 85, 90%. I don't think you're going to find 90, but you can play the vendor game just normally at 80% and people still sell cards to you. I recently just got sold a bunch of great stuff at 80%. Like being the guy who can offer a really good deal, but obviously, if people are willing to sell to you at 80%, if that makes them happy, then you facilitate it as best as you can. Because the only difference here also, I should also note, card ladder value kind of averages out a lot of sales. If you're still doing average last comps, it can end up being closer to that 80%. It can, when you're talking about 85. So really treat it by a case-by-case basis. But I was fiddling around to just show you guys what I was able to buy. So I had one person come around, sell me good old 151 Charizard at a PSA 10 for $1,100. Had a prearranged deal, got to buy Sabrina's Gengar over here from Gym Heroes, right? Gym 2? Okay. Gym Heroes 2. I don't know exactly how these sets worked back in Vintage Land, because I didn't get to buy the set really. I bought more like Ruby Sapphire era, but yeah. I got to buy this at 80%. I got to buy a Bubble Mew at 85%, the vendor deal, because they wanted the recent comps, and I really wanted this card because, you know, Bubble Mew. Can you blame me? I got to buy Japanese Magikarp at 80%. So you're not completely doomed. Oh, last one I got to buy. I got to also buy Brilliant Stars Charizard PSA 10 at $700. You are not just SOL if you're not paying 85%. And frankly, it's really hard to play 85%. If you pay 85%, you are going to get cooked when the market takes its corrections. Obviously, I'm still kind of scared at 80%, but this is what the going rate is in Northern California, at least. But yeah. Overall, I'd say this is the landscape of things. To summarize once again, we are... No, it re-added this. That's so depressing. But yeah, to re-summarize, we are in Repacker era, Repacker meta. I don't like this color. This is really hard to read. Make it red, even though it's not negative exactly. We're in Repacker meta. You probably are in a very good spot to sell stuff if you get them. I would say if you can buy stuff at 80%, sell what you don't want. I'm going to write it over here, sorry. I'm going to write it over here. Sell what you don't want. Sell the bad stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. Sell the bad. Sell the bad. Because, what, your PSA 7, like, I don't know, random modern cards that are worth, like, $40. If that even. Sell this kind of crap off. You can buy it, though, and you can probably even buy it all the way down at 70%. You can't see me. You can't see it again. Let me just... There you go. You could probably buy it over at like 70%, flip it over to 85% of card ladder value, which will get you 5-10%. And, you know, be happy. And you can actually take all of these crappy PSA cards as long as you make the connection of someone to sell to. That's what I would personally do. That is what I'm personally going to do for the stuff I don't want. As for other stuff, this is what you should do, in my opinion. You sell the modern PSA, cheap stuff. You buy good stuff. Buy the good stuff, whatever you may deem the good stuff to be, and keep it. Just like the normal card vendor game, there are still people who want to buy the good stuff. Who would have thought? over the weekend I sold, I don't remember, I think it's around $1,500. By the way, pro tip, get singles, get like cheap binders. People really like digging through binders. I'm gonna put that as my next thing, in fact. Uh Low cost singles sell well. Low cost singles are continuing to sell really well, in my opinion. And I think it's because people just genuinely like to collect. People are in this hobby to collect. You should want to facilitate. You should be here not because you're here to make the money either. You should be here because you are genuinely happy to be there and sell the nice singles that people love and, actually foster some good relationships. Because those small guys who end up buying your low singles, they can end up wanting to buy quote unquote the good stuff. Or if they're ready to sell, they will sell you their crappy stuff that you can sell off if you think they'll never get there. Or if they're just done with the hobby and they end up with some good stuff, they want to return to you. It's genuinely good for you to take care of these people, and you should. So this is a pretty major one to me. Try your best to take care of these people. Like, I have had multiple deals now, including my biggest deal ever, where because I referred them over to someone else that I thought could give a better price, or I thought they would be able to help them with finding a card, they came back to me and made big deals with me. My biggest single slot now is about an $8,800 lot that I got to do last time. And that was because the dude genuinely enjoyed me. We exchanged information and we made it work. All that was from me not making a deal with him, more or less. So always take care of these people. Additionally, pretty much every vendor started with low-cost singles. I think almost all of us started with dipping our toes in, figuring out what we wanted in this hobby if you were a collector, and slowly collecting either a Pokemon or maybe you want a set or whatever it may have been, and you start with the cheap stuff. Nothing wrong with starting with the cheap stuff. You should not look down on these people. Anyways, that's tangent over. The lowest cost singles, though, when we're talking about money purposes, they sell really well. I think I sold at least like double my table fee just in low cost singles that were costing $1 to $20. So this is going to be something that you should keep a hold of. I personally keep 3 binders on my table just for this purpose. In my opinion, this is honestly almost carrying some card shows, because sometimes you're in a less big card show where people are just more so looking for cool stuff to add to their collection. And at that point, this is what they're looking for. This specifically is kind of perfect, in fact. And then I still bring some big bangers. Obviously, let me go try another color, I guess. Bangers. Bangers like Bubble Mew, all those. I put those there to entice people to sell to me. I still give them a pretty good rate. I feel I give them exactly what they're looking for, which, or maybe not always exactly what they're looking for, because if they want 95%, obviously I can't do anything. I get up to about 90% trade if it's grails for grails, because guess what? My value went up. You got something you prefer. I don't need to make that much if my value continues to go up, honestly, especially on these huge $1,000+ numbers. Like at 10%, I made an extra $100 of value. I don't need to be selfish and say, no, I need 200 or 150. I don't really need this for the most part. Obviously, there will be some exceptions. You try to do what's best for yourself as a business so you can keep going on. But bangers, the really nice part about bangers when you do freaking, when you're in this meta is 1 card equals the whole show. When I say 1 card equals the whole show, I mean 1 card can pay for your entire show. And that feels really good sometimes. The reason why I personally keep trying to get $100+ cards is for this reason. I don't need to make as many deals. And at that point, if I don't have to make as many deals, I'm less burnt out. That's why Uncle Steve takes care of the binders for the most part. That's why if I didn't have him, I would actually call up a friend and ask if they're willing to help me out and watch over my binders. Binders are really good. I'm really happy to chat with the people, but sometimes it just becomes too much when you just have people piling in over your binders because people really want the good, or not the good stuff. People really just want the cool, cute stuff. Pokemon makes banger art. But yeah, this is why I like bangers. There could be a whole subject for all of this, honestly. We can't conceivably get into everything to be a vendor here. This wasn't really meant to be a full deep dive into being a successful vendor, even though I probably could do a decent video on it. I wouldn't call myself a huge vendor. At this point, I've probably graduated to mid tier with my like low 5 figures worth of stuff. But yeah. In general, this video was to highlight the repacker meta. I think you guys should take advantage of it if you're planning to be a vendor. I think sell it for 80-85% of its value, like I said, and buy at 80. Buy at 70 to 80 when it comes to the bad stuff. I'm talking about the PSA 7s of the world, 8s, just stuff that no one really wants. And even if you cracked it raw, no one really cares. And just let the repackers do what the repackers are going to do. As long as people are happy with paying the service, then that's on them. That's something they genuinely want to do. It doesn't hurt you to facilitate. It's not your problem, frankly. Like, we have problem with repacker meta, we have to have problem with sealed packs at that point. Because what? A sealed pack is just opening a pack. A repack is just making a new pack. In the end, this is all gambling. Let people have their fun if that's what some consenting adults want to do. Anyways, I think that's good enough for my ramble. Hopefully someone finds this video helpful. I don't know. The overall making a quick little highlight for this could be helpful for you guys, though. Have a great day. I don't imagine anyone made it here. If you made it to this part of the video, feel free to leave me a comment. All right. See you guys sometime soon.